Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. How is everybody doing? Yeah, I couldn't decide on the thumbnail, so if you thought you saw the White House and then later you saw E.T. the extraterrestrial, well, you're not crazy. I changed it. Yeah, you guys are talking about arguing about who stole whose Mandelas. You know, one thing I very much noticed is that if you've been doing this long enough and you've talked about a gajillion Mandelas and then you watch some other show, they're going to have some of your Mandelas in there probably because there's people independently noticing the same things over and over. And then, like, maybe somebody did watch my show 3 years ago and then they made a comment on some other show that, hey, that's a Mandela too, and then people saw that comment and then they posted it somewhere else, and then somebody told somebody else with a show, and then that person went, oh, I mean, like, it doesn't mean that they stole my Mandela from my show specifically. So, like, that's the thing is, though, I am tempted to go, wait, did you watch my show? Did you steal it? But then, no, it's just not like that. It just, I mean, it's possible if they have your exact Mandelas right after you posted them all the next week. Yeah, that's kind of suspicious, but basically it is very easy to think, oh, you know what, I had that on 6 years ago, what are you doing? And and they probably do say the same thing to me. I probably have stuff on in there like, what are you talking about, that's old, I did that one. Saw something about a lizard with a bright blue mouth. Yes, I have covered the blue mouth lizard one, and there was also now birds with like colored inside their mouths and stuff. It's funny because I think what's going to happen next, and then somehow there's like hundreds of things I would have never thought of that happen. So it's impressive how much imagination we or it or whatever is happening has. More people are noticing stuff, so there's going to be some overlap. Yeah, and they migrate around and stuff. So the thing is, if you don't watch a lot of other people, and then you finally do, and then half of your Mandelas are on there, and then, but you just can't. Like I said, it'd be different if I had a show and like 5 of my things from that show were on somebody else's show 3 days later. That would be suspicious. But, a lot of times when that happens, I'm like, yeah, I covered it a year ago. I covered it 6 years ago. Well, that was viral on blah, blah, Reddit or whatever. I have a new thing. My new scars are all turning white and the old ones are doing it one by one. Huh. That's, I think, I have a weird genetic makeup where I just don't really keep scars that much. And I did for like a huge chunk of my life, I had one little tiny raised area on the side of my wrist, and I don't know if I got it as a child or what, but I actually had no knowledge of where I got it from. But it did look kind of weird because it looked like there was a little string like underneath my skin. But that disappeared a couple years ago, which is again weird. I mean, if you have something for like 40 years and then it's gone. There's like missing hair from an injury back here, but there's not really a scar. I'm trying to think that I had like 3rd-degree burns on the yes, it was this arm, as you can't tell now, and that all healed up. It took like 10 years. I mean, it healed faster, but it took like 10 years for the scar. I had terrible cat bite infection in my leg, and that took 10 years to totally, like, it will heal, and then every time I would get really hot and sweaty and kind of flushed, you could see the little circles, but that all went away. So I don't know, maybe your scars are going to go away too. I don't know. I'm trying to think if I have any scars on me, but I have spots where there's not hair. There used to be a couple in here, and then those magically went away a couple years ago. Like the hair grew back in. As last I checked, the one back here is the only one left where there's missing hair. I'm going to have to check back. That one's like an inch long, so. No pigmentation on the new skin under it, and the scab looks very bright red, like it's still bleeding. Huh. I do think the skin is changing a lot. Like it used to be when I got an injury. The way it healed was a lot different. Now there's like this very stretchy skin that gets over it. Like skin just seems more stretchy. And I mean, I know I'm like consuming glycine and stuff, but I mean, like even when I was a child, it wasn't so darn stretchy. I mean, I think it's probably a good thing that it's like that, but... Okay, so when I was like in college, a cat, like, I don't know, it was like fighting or something, and there was cat screaming, and I went outside to see what was going on, and this cat just bit the crap out of my leg, and then it was like these deep bites. It wasn't like your cat is messing with you. This cat was like in kill mode. Like, I don't know if it thought I was another cat, but it latched on and it just went, it bit as deep as it could. And I didn't have, I just had like shorts on. So there was like no protection. And then it got infected really bad and it was nasty. It did heal, but that was it. Like the doctors all, oh, you could lose your leg and you have to do this and this. And I'm like, oh, well, I have to go to work. I never did anything he said. And he was all freaking out. But I did get the, he gave me some antibiotic shots, but that was it. Anyway, this one was just a violent cat. I don't know. That'll teach me to go to college. You know, the one thing I did get out of college is that when back then you could go to student health and get medical care. Now, it sucked, but you didn't have to pay. It was like included. I doubt they do that now, but back then they would. Yeah, I don't know. It was really, I mean, like, I don't know, was it feral or whatever? I've never experienced anything like that before or since. Like, he was out to kill my leg. Like, I don't know if he was fighting and then I just opened the door and I don't know. It was crazy. I don't think I realized how crazy it was until I lived many more decades and realized that nothing even close to that ever happened again, no matter what. So I did have like this one really violent cat attack my dog, but I was on that cat's territory and stuff, so that might be part of it. And my dog was, well, kind of chasing it. He wasn't really chasing it, but I think from the cat's perspective, he was. Yeah, cats can, like, defy gravity, I think. You ever seen them? I mean, like, they just, when they're really upset, it was like they float, and then they're, like, really fast blimps or something. They just, it's insane. Yeah, I didn't even know that cat that bit me, actually. It was just some cat that was out there screaming. And I mean, I've been scratched by an angry cat before, but it's not the same as when they're just like, quit bugging me versus I am going to kill you. Maybe somebody attacked it. You're not talking about the one that attacked me. Well, I don't know. It was out there screaming though, and it was like 5 a.m. I don't think anybody was doing anything at that time. It was just weird. It was almost like it was in a trance because it like started to attack me, and I was so shocked. And I was trying to decide if I should like hit it because literally it was ripping my leg apart. And I'm like, well, if I hit it, it's just gonna dig in more. Like, so I just had this 1 second where I was like, should I hit it? Then I'm thinking maybe I should like grab it and fling it. But he had such a grip on my leg that I'm like, it's gonna just rip off half the flesh out of my leg if I fling it. So I was sitting there like just for like a millisecond, like as all these things flashed through my head, I'm like going and hit it. I can throw it, you know, and then there was a downside to each one of those. And then it just like froze and it sort of was realized, I don't know what, but it was like it realized something and then it suddenly just let go and ran like crazy. So maybe it thought it was killing something else besides me. I don't know. I mean, at that second, it really was like this cat is trying to kill me, and he was doing really serious damage. So like, the general attitude of I don't want to be mean to a cat kind of had to go out the window, because it was like, I'm going to lose my, I could have had, he was, let's just say it was really bad. There was blood everywhere, and it really only took him like 2 seconds to do that much damage, maybe probably even less. So if I hadn't done anything, I could, I don't know, we could lose the loss of the function of my leg if I had let it go on. I'm glad he chose to leave, obviously, because I don't want to hit him, but there's a point where you have to not lay there and die, It was bad because I couldn't even, I was bleeding so much that, and then I had this light colored carpet, and I was like, how do I get into the house without getting blood all over the carpet? It was that bad. Oh, cats can. It's just very rare that they would choose to. But if you've ever seen two cats fight and then they're like, and so what they do is they grab on, and that's what he did. He grabbed around my leg, and then they're so quick, and so he takes his mouth and he's like, kang, 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 like that. And at the exact same time he's doing that, his back legs are going rip, 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 rip. And he got like 3-4 rips in, and I'm like, what do I do with it? And then he left. But that was enough to put like about 20 deep scratches into the leg, and there was like 10 punctures that were down about that far. And then you have the added joys of that cats just have very bacteria-filled mouths. So when they bite, they tend to get infected right away. And indeed, it started weeping plasma, and it never stopped for days. Like, the infection is that fast. It never even could scab over. So it took, like, days for my body to fight that off. The scratches, they were the most painful, but they healed very quickly, like 2 or 3 or 4 days, and they were healed plenty enough that they didn't really hurt anymore. But the bites are the worst because the infection. When you get a cat bites, you have to go to the hospital right away, and that was a whole nother drama, because so I knew this was bad because they just weren't closing up. The holes just weren't closing. And it was like 5, 6 in the morning. So the student health opened at like 8 or 9. So I waited a couple hours, and then I just, I had to walk out to the bus stop and get on the bus. It's like, so I go to student health, and then they're like, oh, well, just keep an eye on it. She didn't do anything. She just is like, and I thought that was more serious, but whatever, they're the doctors, So I just go about my business. I had just kind of put some bandages on it, and I just went to work, and then I went to classes, and she had said, well, come back in 24 hours for a checkup. So I came back the next morning, and then there was another senior doctor, and he flipped out, and because she hadn't given me any shots or anything, and so he flipped out, and then he's all, you need to take these shots. And then he took a swab, because it was all like deeply infected by then. Like, you could take, I'm sorry, this is so gross, but you could take like a thing and stick it way in there, and it didn't hurt because it was all dead already. That flesh was dead. And he took a sample to test for, then I guess they spread it on the petri dish or whatever, and they see what bacteria grow. And then they double check that bacteria matched the shots they already gave me. And if they did, then we're good. And if they don't, then they would have to give me whatever shots I needed to take care of that one. So it lucked out because they had guessed the right shots. But I was supposed to go home and soak my leg all day and have it elevated and all that. I'm like, who's paying the rent, guys? So I didn't do any of that stuff. And it did heal. Is anybody feeling the energies these days? And I don't even, everything is weird all the time. I don't even know what to say, because it's like, What's my latest schedule is I'll sleep like 4 or 5 hours a couple nights in a row, and then I'll sleep like 12 hours to make up for it. Not on purpose, it just happens like that. I don't even know how long it's been when I wake up. Yeah, I think it is really rare that a cat would attack me like that. It's looking back on it, I don't know what the deal was. I didn't even see another cat out there, so I don't know what was up with that. It's interesting because they didn't say, back then there wasn't rabies in the population, and nobody said anything about maybe he had rabies or whatever, but he acted like he could have had rabies, looking back on it, but nobody said, oh no, what if he has rabies, blah, blah, blah. I didn't get any rabies shots. I only got antibiotic shots. We're going through a traumatic, I hope so. I like to think, I still wonder if it's what is happening in the world is like the splitting of the wheat and the chaff, though. I still think that people are picking their roads, so you see some really bad behavior, but then at the other side you see some people turning towards the good, and as the bad behavior gets really bad, some people are waking up going, wait a minute, this path leads to that, so when Charlie Kirk got killed, and there was a lot of Democrats cheering for his death, and but there was a certain percentage of Democrats who are like, wait, what? That's, you shouldn't cheer for that. And they're like, wait a minute. Now, that doesn't mean I think you should run and be a Republican, but both sides are doing bad stuff. And I would say that, don't get so sucked into your cult that you just make excuses for any manner of bad behavior because it's your side. If your side does something bad, then you have, in my opinion, the responsibility to, at minimum, recognize and admit that it's bad, and hopefully you will sometimes speak out against it. The choice is already made, the path is chosen. I don't know about that. I do kind of feel like there's, the further you go down that anger, hate path, the harder it is to get back, but you still can. You still can get back. You might have a lot of traveling to get back all the way back where you went down, but it is still possible. Yeah, so that's kind of like one of those things. Well, if there is no time, then it actually in some ways already happened. So in that way, you could say it's already chosen, but then you could say, well, but I already chose, so it seems like it's already chosen, so I don't know. I mean, I don't want to, that's not something I really want to argue about, because I'm not sure if it's really, the two are as different as you might assume. Wishing death on anyone is wrong. Yes. But I mean, cheering for it and saying, oh, good, let's now do this other guy. And the irony is that Charlie Kirk was definitely not one of the nastier Republicans. If I was going to pick one to keel over tomorrow for any reason and I had to pick, it certainly wouldn't have been him. So that's another thing that's just weird, because he was, much closer to the middle and much more reasonable. I mean, I didn't agree with everything he said, but he actually wasn't a mean person. I know that the media likes to grab little tidbits out and make it look like that, but he was somebody that I don't think was a mean person. So the irony that he was killed, it is interesting to me. He had an ability I really liked, that he could talk with people without that judgy thing, and I wish I had that. I wish I had that. Oh yeah, and it's just weirder every second, and the whole case is just like a lesson. And I mean, I don't think it's possible just by chance for there to be that many anomalies. I mean, even if it is a total cover-up, I mean, even if you were deliberately trying to do a bad job and covering it up, I don't know if it'd be possible to leave that many weird events happening all around. Yeah, that's interesting too, as I also am not sure that maybe he just wanted out, like it's a witness protection thing. And there are some online people that I suspect have like talking points that they were given from, I don't know, the Republicans, the on high, whatever. And I noticed that they all follow in lockstep a narrative. And so when suddenly they all attack Candace Owens as crazy, she did kind of crazy stuff for a long time, but now all of a sudden she's totally crazy. And not only that, but they weren't depicting what she was saying and doing accurately at all. They were completely exaggerating and taking things out of context. So just nasty attacks. It wasn't even heartfelt or honest or like, look, I disagree with this. No, that was just being completely nasty. So some of these people were doing that, and then they jumped right to certain theories are total idiocy. And again, they were just being nasty about it. Like, not like, well, I don't think so because I don't think that this and this fit that. No, they're just like, well, that's just so stupid. You might as well just believe in flat earth, and, just nasty. And one of them is that maybe he's not dead. Like, maybe it's just a faked death. And when they got that nasty over that actually makes me more suspicious, because it just seemed like a very on-off kind of nasty, There are people out there that are just mean and nasty all the time whenever they open their mouth, or like 90% of the time. So if they're mean and nasty, I'm like, no, that's just who they are. But these guys, they just turn it on for a couple things where they just belittle. And now I'm like at the point where when they suddenly all are switching it on, I'm like, maybe somebody is getting over the target, and that's why they're getting nasty. Yeah, I also feel like I won't watch the news anymore, because it's just sad, but you can't find out what's going on. Like, I'll see a headline and then I'll just go, well, I'm going to find one of the YouTube channels I trust more to tell me what's going on. I won't watch what happened to Macron suing Candace. The last I heard that she won, like, they could not sue her. So I know it sounds crazy, but Candace is basically saying there's a ton of evidence that Macron's wife is actually a man. Now, I know that the Republicans are quite obsessed on that whole thing, but there actually is a ton of evidence that that person is a man. I mean, it's actually fascinating. I'm not saying for sure that I know that it's true, but there was an amazing amount of very suspicious evidence going on there. And so Macron sued Candace Owens for defamation, but they didn't ever sue her for the actual saying that Bridget was the wife's name, that Bridget is a man. They sued her for these other things, like, that were sort of related, like that I don't even remember what it was. It was like saying that so and so didn't go to college here or something. Like, it was just weird little side things. They never actually sued her for saying Bridget's a man, which is very interesting. And I don't remember what it was exactly. I think that it was just thrown out, or they lost or whatever. But anyway, Candace did win that round. But I think they were talking about trying another one. I don't know. I haven't really kept up with it. But anyway, she has come out unscathed on all the ones that had happened so far. They wanted to bring some... See, as far as I know, they didn't bring any evidence about Bridget being a female. Like, they could bring some DNA... photos I don't trust, because now you can doctor photos so easily. This is me when I was a child. I don't know if that's you as a child, or you just got it off of, stock images, So, photos don't mean much. You need to have some, like, DNA testing or something. And even then, it'd be tricky because if your husband, like, kind of runs France, you probably have access to some shady stuff. But they didn't bring anything that caused them to win. And to my knowledge, they never brought any good evidence. But that's the trick, because they claim they're going to do all this and this and this, and they never back it up. But the first claim gets a ton of audience, and it gets viral. Oh, you're in trouble now. Macron is going to bring the evidence. But they never bring anything exciting. Like, I really don't care that much if she's a man. Like, I do think that all the evidence digging is kind of fascinating, but, like, I mean, I do think it's extremely creepy that he was like 16 and she, well, I'm going to call her she was like 30, and his teacher, when they started dating, I mean, that's basically child abuse. So I do have a big issue with that. But if they had both been 30 and she turned out to be a man, but they started dating when they were both 30, I really don't care that much. I mean, it's somewhat interesting, and it obviously speaks to a certain amount of lying and things, but, those were different times too, so. Yeah, I don't trust anything in this 2D world either, because every last thing that happened in the Charlie Kirk thing, in 3 years, the video all could be magically different. So that's another reason why I don't get sucked into it. Like, maybe now there's all this evidence that Bridget is a man, and then maybe later, there's all this evidence that she's a reptile. I don't know. It's just so bizarre. And speaking of magically changing no, not that one. I want to talk about, did I even get that one? I don't think I pulled up the White House one. All right, I'll talk about E.T. and then we'll talk about, you know what? Wait, where is it? I'm kind of spaced out today. This is the one. This is the one I want to talk about. Okay. Speaking of conspiracy theories, I've got some sort of Mandelas for the 9 plus the 1 plus the 1 event. I'm saying it like that because it tends to get anti-algorithm if you use the full statement. But apparently now, and some of this story has been collecting, because years ago I remember hearing that they had just put out a huge insurance policy just weeks before the 2 buildings went down. And then there was a huge lawsuit about getting more money. Okay, that just showed up a couple years ago. But now apparently there's this whole asbestos story that is associated with them. Like, when did this happen? Like, decades ago, and I'm just finally hearing about this. I mean, how many times have I investigated this? So the story now is that the towers were loaded with asbestos. Okay, not exactly shocking, but also that there was so much asbestos that they were under pressure to, like, remediate all of it, to remove all of it, and it was so expensive that a lot of numbers said it would cost more to fix it than to just tear down the building and start over. And so supposedly when Larry Silverstein purchased the building, and he purchased it just 6 weeks, like the lease for the building. So I'm like, I don't even know what the difference between the lease for the building and the building is, but he purchased the lease for the building. And I think it might work like this, because I've seen this with other rich people, is that you purchase a lease and you have, like, say a 10-year lease, and you are responsible for maintaining and taking care of that building for those 10 years. Like, you take on all the maintenance costs, anything that happens, you're responsible. It's sort of like it's your building for the whole 10 years. And it can be pretty shady, because I've seen people who take these leases and then they do not maintain the building at all, and it is in terrible condition. And then they do a bunch of shady crap to make it look kind of good. Like they'll hide all the termite damage because they never manage the termites for 10 years. So they'll just hide it and then they'll just paint it. And I've seen this firsthand. But so I think that might be the kind of lease, because he was bragging supposedly now that it was, he got this gem of a building and all this. But actually, it was well known that the building was a giant boondoggle because of the cost of the asbestos removal, which they were under pressure to manage. And the owners before him, and I'm like, is this the owners or the leaseholders or what? Because it's very confusing to me. But apparently the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey were the previous ones in charge of the building. And they had wanted to demolish the buildings because of the asbestos and all the problems. They wanted to just demolish them and start over. But they were never given permission because of the asbestos. The whoever you have to ask, and I'm like, well, if like the Port Authority of New York, I assume that's like government, right? But anyway, those people, that group could not get. So they had been trying to demolish the buildings, but they were refused. They were told that you have to take the floors off one by one and do asbestos remediation on each floor as you dismantle, which would be monstrously expensive, obviously. And so instead, they just released it to Silverstein. They never did that. And then conveniently, then Silverstein took out an insurance policy where they said the building's worth 1.5 billion or something. That the offer basically was a certain offer, and Silverstein actually said, oh no, it's worth more. I want a larger insurance policy. And apparently that's never done, because like, who pays more insurance than they really got to, right? Because you have to keep paying the monthly fee. It's going to be double now. So you wouldn't normally volunteer to double the cost of your insurance payments. But if you knew that you were going to get your payment settlement really soon, then you would do it. That's the only time it makes sense. Okay, but none of this stuff, I have never heard any of this stuff before. So he then, of course, just weeks after this was finalized, the buildings went down very conveniently in this very similar way that they had originally wanted to demolish the buildings and couldn't get permission for. And he had this huge insurance settlement. So he suddenly made so much money because the insurance settlement was much larger than the investment. And he apparently, and I looked through a lot of this, and so this is the AI, but it gives you links to where it got its info. It looks like it's all legit. So Silverstein had also promised his investors that helped him get the money gathered to purchase this lease, promised them like that he would return the majority of the money in a very short amount of time, which and nobody sees how he would have been able to do that, except for this happened. So it's all like super, super, super suspicious on top of like everything else. It's monstrously suspicious. It's like the wife who, takes out a humongous insurance policy 2 weeks before her husband mysteriously dies, and you're like immediately going, did you kill him? Well, that's how this building was. See here, Port Authority had previously tried to get permits to demolish the buildings, but were turned down, and it was because of the asbestos. The destruction of the towers eliminated enormous financial liability of the asbestos problem. The perfect collapse of the Twin Towers changed the picture, allowing Silverstein to rebuild using insurance proceeds. And the Port Authority had tried to use insurance to cover the asbestos abatement, but the insurance company had said, no, it's not physical loss or damage, so it's not covered. And when Silverstein got his insurance, he got a wide-ranging insurance that just happened to include things like, terrorism, which a lot of people don't get insurance for that. So that was another weird thing. And then he claimed that it was 2 collapses, so he should get double insurance. That was why there was a lawsuit, because he wanted double insurance. So it just, I don't know. I mean, I'm taking forever to say it, but basically all of this additional drama, I had not heard of it until now. After all these years and all the conspiracy documentaries I've ever seen, I had not heard this thing where about the asbestos and the Port Authority's desire to demolish the buildings and being refused. I have never heard of it. You know what? Are you talking about Juice Box? Because that thing that was banned from TikTok? Yeah. So I don't trust any governments. I don't like to say that because there are governments I don't trust. It doesn't mean that I think, like, I don't trust the American government. That doesn't mean I hate all Americans. I just don't trust our government and our CIA. The same goes for, Israel and all the others. So if I say I don't like Israel's government, it doesn't mean I dislike all the people of Israel. The antennas changed, the buildings underneath changed. Yeah, just don't trust our government, especially our CIA. There's new drama coming out all the time. And, it amazes me. A few years ago, I was looking at the list of bad human experimentation that America did. And it used to just, way back, there was just a few. And now there's just this ridiculous laundry list of them. Let's see. Wiki. The link. Wait, is that right? Yeah. Okay. Government. I forgot how. Human. I think that. There, in the United States. So a lot of these I'd never heard of before. They're just, there's so many now. So there's, let's see. The father of gynecology of the United States did horrible surgery experiments on slaves. Never heard of that one. Then he was one of the top doctors he was elevated to one of the top doctors in the country. The CIA experimentations for MK Ultra, way back, MK Ultra for me was just a rumor. It was a conspiracy theory. You were oh, that's ridiculous, stupid conspiracy theory. But now it's actually in the records. It happened. It's been known since, gosh, probably around when I was born. So there's no way I would have looked this up and it'd be just a conspiracy theory. Injections of toxic and radioactive chemicals. There's a lot of stuff on torture experiments, all from the United States now. Radiation experiments. And I'm not just talking about they dropped the bomb and there was a lot of fallout. There's way worse than that. So this one, they stuck electrical needles inside this woman and shocked her brain to see what would happen. Prison experiments, they weird implants they put in them, taking these organs out of some prisoners and putting them into others. That was up until 1951, so it wasn't that long ago. Really creepy stuff. None of this stuff was here a couple of years ago when I was looking. I mean, there was starting to be a list of stuff, but not this bad. Purposefully giving them horrible medical conditions like gonorrhea. So before it was they didn't treat, they'll have some horrible medical condition and they had a treatment but didn't give it to them, right? But now they're giving them the illness. They didn't have it before. Injected prisoners with bubonic plague. All right, this one's not as bad, but they deliberately gave people influenza so they could see what would happen by, without permission, like just squirting it up their nostrils, supposedly. Of course, that shouldn't work if if germ theory is not legit. So that's actually kind of interesting too. So like the Tuskegee experiment is not a standalone thing now. They did this to inmates, Guatemalan soldiers, all kinds of stuff now. And they actually gave them the illness. You will go on and on these things. Injected cancer cells into prisoners to see if they got cancer. That was in 50s. Radiation experiments. There were no radiation experiments last time I looked, other than just the bombs themselves. There's like 10 different branches of MK Ultra now too. Like, I've never heard of any of them. It's just crazy. The well-known doctors are criminals and the saints are child traffickers. I know. It's crazy. It's just that none of that was in my old timeline. I mean, much lesser things were done, and even those are considered super horrible. And now these like really horrible things were done. And I've been watching the list just grow. What was it? That giant? There was there's a lot more disasters in the past now too. There was like one in India where like hundreds of people were killed and like 800,000 people were injured or something. It was this giant chemical plant explosion. I'd never heard of it. And it's interesting because if you go and you look at other write-ups on this thing, then there's a whole bunch of people going, that's crazy, I never heard of it. That's crazy, I never heard of it. Giant. I just found out about this like a couple days ago. In India. It's like 84, I think, something like that. Not that one. It was 1984. Is it 1984? Actually, that's kind of weird. Okay. Okay, yeah. There we go. I don't know why, but the AI was saying that this Bhopal disaster happened in 2025. It did not. It was 84. Okay. All right, so there was, if you read on it, it was like, well, there was about 20 different things that were in disrepair and all these different safety mechanisms are non-functional. I mean, it wasn't just a case of one or two things going wrong. So it was like, but supposedly it was run by Union Carbide. Let's see, what was it? Immediate deaths were 2,259. Other estimates that 8,000 died within 2 weeks of the incident. Another 8,000 or more died from gas-related diseases. And there was 558,125 injuries, including 3,900 severely and permanently disabling injuries. And if this goes by any, in my experience, when these numbers are published for other things, granted, I don't know, I have not experienced something of this magnitude, but I have, I was in the pet industry when the dog food poisonings happened from a poison, like a dog food that was making dogs die. And I know for sure that the official numbers are vastly underestimating the number of dogs that died, because multiple dogs died just in our store from it, like customers. And then they only gave a number like 20 dogs died nationwide or something. It was some puny number. And it's like, no. Because those are only, if in my store several dogs died that I know about, then a lot of other dogs, owners that come to my store, their dogs also died, but they didn't know about the poisonings, or I didn't hear about it. So there had to be, a few dozen just that use our store. And if you multiply that by every store in the country, it's going to be a lot of dogs. But so what they put up was only like 1% of the real problem. Now, maybe it's harder to hide stuff with humans and death certificates, but anyway, so this happened in 84. And I think I would have heard about it. I was definitely, that was kind of the age when I was starting to get into the news a little bit and paying more attention. So I think that if 558,000 people were injured in India, I think that would be a lot of news, and I think I would have been covering that. In fact, at that time, our teachers were encouraging us to read the paper every day, come in and talk about events. And if you read on it, it's insane. It's utterly insane. And so many people have never heard of it. So when I see stuff like this, I'm like, did it even happen? I mean, is there a timeline when it happened, or is it just a story? Like, is it just a screen story? Like, if I made a movie and I played it and it was a fictional movie, then theoretically none of that really happened. It was just actors playing a part. So if somebody watched that though and they weren't told it was a fictional movie, then they would they would watch the video. I'm like, oh my God, that's horrible, when the aliens took over France or something, because it's on, you just see images and you assume it's true. And so some of it's like, I don't know, I don't think it was in my timeline. Did it happen? I don't know. I don't know anybody who was there. I have no way of verifying. Doctors still perform inhumane experiments on people. That's what 2020 was. Yeah, I mean, and maybe, the past and the future and the now are related, and that's why we have all this stuff in the past. Does it matter now if it happened or not? I don't even know how to answer that. I don't know. I think there's so many things. Does it influence the now? Does that narrative influence the now? I mean, it does matter to me, because I like to think that people didn't suffer. And so if it didn't actually happen, I would be glad, because I don't like the idea of suffering, but okay, so, I thought this was Jackie, but when I actually looked it up, it was Josh Q6V7Q asked about the man boobs on E.T. And indeed, I just don't remember. I guess E.T.'s almost like a turtle now. I just don't remember him being like that flat. And well, they did remaster some of it, but this is the original toy from 82 before. So this toy, he's still like, and I don't remember all these big rib things. Like, I remember kind of those, but I don't remember those. I'm not sure on this one. The mouth looks weird to me, too. It reminds me of Homer Simpson. And I might be wrong. It has been a while, but I really don't remember these. Let's see if I can. There was more. So I was looking for toys, because... And interestingly, which is another thing I noticed about the Mandela, is when you try to look up stuff, because they show like almost every image with the glowing chest thing, so then you can't see the middle of him. I mean, I really had to work to find this one. And there was another thing that really reminded me is this. Okay, I do remember, but I thought it was more like this, right? I don't think it was like this, but this is how, but this, I believe, is a play on what do they call it? It's not Man and God anymore. It's Creation of Man, the painting. I'm pretty sure that it is meant to be that. Okay, because see, you've got that. And now that the two hands are so close together, God, it's, you know, Adam is getting so limp-wristed. I don't think he was this limp-wristed. I think he at least had his finger out. Now he's like, yeah, kiss the ring. I don't think it was this bad. It's almost like an insult now, the way Adam is. This is bad. But yeah, there was and you know what? God is like definitely lower now, I think. Let's see. Yeah. I think God has dropped a little lower too. So it was quite a number of years ago when these two characters, the famous painting altered so that these two characters were this close together. Interesting, because I don't remember these cracks. Here are interestingly well-placed cracks right here, too. All right, in this one, they're here. So every time I've seen this depiction, I've never seen them make the effort to depict the cracks. So that, I do find that interesting. Anyway, so when they got close enough together, then they started depicting it this way. That was still quite a number of years ago. But I think that the ET is supposed to be mirroring that. See the look? All right, so... is this God? As you know, is God going to sink to be matching this on this level? There's still a little, you know, they're not quite the same, but it's getting real close. So for my original reality, these two were far apart, so this painting didn't exist. And I actually don't remember this being depicted this way either. So the two of them are like they're coming at each other. All right, so every time I try to find ET, that there's this, so you can't see. Now, there is some moobs there. It's really extreme in this one. Let me see. Where is that one? Okay, that's the one I already showed. Here, I don't think so. There's another side view one where it's even more creepy. Let me go back to that one. No, the whole internet is weird. If I click on this again, it should replace that one. But now it doesn't. All right, let me try this again. Nope. Wait, why is it doing that? See how it is? Okay, I close that. I click on this. But this is not what's coming up. Oh, now it does. I don't know if I'm just stupid or what, but here, this one, but I want to see the one that is not that blurry, and before it would come up, but now it is not. Oh well. Anyway, you could see it's creepy looking. Last time I pulled this one up, and then it gave me like 4 different options for a much more clear version, but not this time. Oh, here. Yeah, see, I don't remember that. So a bunch of this is remastered. That's the problem. I spent a lot of time trying to look for images of the original. That is for sure. And they didn't clarify what aspects were remastered. Was this in there originally or not? Poses with E.T. in 1982. Okay, so this is an original. If this picture is from 1982, this is before it's remastered. So it doesn't look like it's changed. It looks exactly the same. Okay. This is great because I was looking for this and I couldn't find it. All right. This is probably more of the same. Can't really see much on that one. I wish I could get more of this photo series. Now, you might say click on here, but you know what? I'll try it. But last time I went there, it was Getty Images. And Getty Images, you never get the thing you're looking for. Yeah, this is the same mess I was in before. And I scrolled and I scrolled and I scrolled, but no. Yeah, so as best I can tell, that is how they always looked. But, you know, if you try to tell people, they'll just say, oh, it was remastered. That's why it looks different. Yeah, I think with those last images, we're sure, because those are supposed to be 82 stills of the actual ET that was used. So I think any effort at trying to say it was a remastering has been thoroughly debunked before it comes forward. All right, that's that Silverstein stuff. So like I said, I did use AI to find links. AI is really good at finding sources, but then I did check the sources. All right, I brought this one up lots of times, but I think it's changed again. This is the opening bits from the Matrix where the green whatever its little bits comes down, they rain down. And for me originally these were ones and zeros, bits and bytes, ones and zeros, all ones and zeros. And then I noticed that it had changed to be like other numbers and letters and stuff. And then I thought it was just because maybe that's later movies, right? I thought, oh, they added stuff to the later movies, but nope. Later when I really checked, I realized that it was all the movies. Okay, the ones and zeros are gone. They've never existed. And now I'm looking at them like, there's like Chinese symbols and I don't know what. They're not even like in English or whatever these are. And these brightenings, like there's certain ones that get brighter and stuff. And I'm seeing that in a lot of these old... And so I think this whole thing just keeps changing. And it's highly symbolic because this is supposed to be like the fabric behind our experience, right? So I don't know. The symbology is just very interesting to me. So as you can see, they look like this. That looks like an 8, but that just looks like little Chinese symbols. And maybe they are. I don't even know what all those are. But last time I was looking, God, I wonder if these mean anything. And it looks like they're Chinese. So I got to keep an eye on this stuff. Doink. Let me just play a bit of it. Hold on. Is it like raining down? Yeah, okay. Is it me or is it going faster too? Oh, it might be all right. I just don't remember these bright ones, though. I guess these are the leading edge ones. Strings of random letters. Why is it? It looks like Chinese characters. Like Chinese characters, like... I've, like, studied a little bit of Mandarin. They probably are Chinese, like, segments of Chinese characters. Not all of them, but some of those look like it. I don't remember. I mean, I might have even known what those were, like, 20 years ago when I was studying it. All right, Shari remembers some Chinese characters. Vivian remembers letters. I do remember letters at some point. I think it just keeps changing. You know, I think part of the problem when you age with movies is that when you're young, like every genre, every plot line, it's new to you. So it's the first time you've watched that plot line is good. But there are only so many basic plot lines and shticks and cliches and tropes. And once you've kind of seen them all and then they start recycling, and then you're like, this movie sucks. But I think part of it is we just get jaded. I look back some movies, I'm like, nah, it's not as good as I remember. Now, some of them I think did Mandela degrade, but still. Yeah, I don't know diddly about Korean characters, so can't help on that, but I have seen some that are good. Like, I thought the Foundation series is quite good. Was watching Paradise. It's pretty good. I mean, I think it's as good as anything I saw when I was a kid. It's just, again, I kind of got to the point where I'm like, I've seen some of this narrative already, so it feels a little stale. But if that was the first time I was ever seeing those narratives, those tropes, I would think that was a good movie. It was well done. Or it's not really a movie, it's like a series, I guess. Okay, so Jackie was talking about, this is called the Black Rainbow, the dark middle. Now, I did not find the term Black Rainbow, but I did find a term for this thing, and it was Alexander's Dark Band, is what they're calling this middle thing. And I think I did mention before that nobody's commenting on it, but somehow they're not matching. Like, the space between here and here and here and here doesn't look the same. And then this is definitely thicker here. The dark band is thicker here than it is here and here. And so when these were first coming up, they would always be perfect mirrors as far as the shape. And they're not anymore. And sometimes they're fatter on the bottom. And now I'm starting to see examples where there's like lensing. See here, there's a little, let me see. You know, whenever something's new, you can't find a good example. But this line here has got like two white lines. It's like thickened. So I think there's something going on with that changing. And then the other thing I noticed is now we're getting, even though it's dark out here, you still somehow got rainbows with colors and the Alexander's Band, even though this looks like nighttime. And here's another one. It looks like it's pretty freaking dark. So the storyline now with the Alexander's Band is that the ice particles here are reflecting all the light away from you. And that's why you don't see it. And then the ice particles here are reflecting the light towards you. And that's why it looks brighter. I mean, look at how dark that it... we didn't used to get rainbows with this much darkness. Like, you couldn't see rainbows when it was freaking dark outside. So that seems to be the thing now. Yes, you can. So they're making their own light. They used to just be a color in the sky, so you needed daylight, but now they're so good at reflecting that they're actually like glowing, it looks like, is where we're at. And get some red ones. Yeah, so see, this is way lighter than anything around it. So that's pretty cool. I'm trying to find, and then this is the repeating ones. Look at how thick those are. Dimension gate time. I haven't seen this. Anatomy. Let me take a quick peek at this. Supernumeraries. That's the word I was looking for. Okay, so the bottom one, the bottom rainbow is the primary, and it can have supernumeraries. Then you have Alexander's band, and then you have a secondary. Light reflected in raindrops is polarized. I don't, okay. Vertical plane. Light reflected in raindrops is polarized at tangent to arcs. I have no idea what that means. All right, well, that's what we're at so far. I'm pretty sure you could have supernumeraries up here also, though. I have my doubts about everything scientists says. Well, for sure. Yeah, so the gap is Alexander's band or Alexander's dark band sometimes. Interestingly, if you go to the wiki, it's really short for Alexander. Let me see if I can find that again. Alexander's dark band. Yeah, see? Not much. Oh, here's the one. Let's see. There. See how it's kind of lensed here? I guess that might be a supernumerary. But see that it looks like it's a fatter distance between the two. It looks like the line got fatter here than here. So they're not parallel to each other anymore. I was kind of looking at this, but you know, like I said, I don't know if I'm smart enough to understand this stuff. I think I could be if I put put a lot of effort into it, but it's probably going to magically change anyway, so why bother? Between the two bows lays an area of unlit sky, referred to as Alexander's band. The one thing I'm noticing, though, is that it's not just unlit. It's actually darker than the surrounds. This area here is darker than the other is. So other places are saying that the light is actually reflected away, so it is actually darker. Light which reflected by raindrops in this region of the sky cannot reach the observer, though it may contribute to a rainbow seen by another observer elsewhere. So I guess that light is going into rainbows for other people. Viewing from a different angle. But it kind of confuses me because if this darkness shows rainbows for others, where is that rainbow for others? It's still in the same spot. So this darkness is showing these rainbows to people over there, then also they get a darkness that is showing. So it kind of maybe, all right. So these are pushing the light to the rainbow edges then. The ice crystals in the middle push light, and that's why these are glowing now. They're not just colored, but they're glowing because the light is like accumulated to be brighter than the surroundings by sucking it out of the middle. So this is dark from every angle, then it has to be pushing it up into these areas. Something like that. That is my best guess. And that's why it's darker, because it's lensing it up onto the rainbow. And maybe down here also. Because it gets brighter down there. It's still kind of confusing, though, because, like, what makes the light suddenly stop right there? Like, I can see if it reflects off, but then why would it just keep going forever? Why would it suddenly... Ugh. So I say it's hard to be smart enough for this timeline. All right, this is another goofy one that Jackie found. And this makes me laugh because when you were talking about how you don't trust any scientists, I was just thinking when I read this, archaeologists discover 1,200-year-old loaf of bread with picture of Jesus. All right, so, I mean, did this grow out of all those pieces of toast with burnt images of Jesus and other, I mean, one sold for $50,000 or something? Like, somehow I feel like if I said I found a Jesus burnt on my toast, I would not get $50,000 for it. And so the whole narrative is just weird. I mean, who's going to bid $50,000 for burnt toast? Maybe it was faked by her son. You don't know. So now we have Jesus on a loaf, but it's this Jesus. And I'll be honest with you, I just think it just sounds like such baloney. First of all, this is supposed to be bread, okay? Does it look like bread? And it's supposed to be 1,200-year-old bread. Like, somehow it survived. Bread survived now. Not just bones, not even a mummy. It's a whole loaf of bread. Like, the bugs didn't eat it. Nothing ate it. It just somehow petrified. Have made a shocking discovery of a 1,200-year-old burned bread loaf that has the image of Jesus. The remarkable discovery was published on social media by the Karaman governorship, located in southern Turkey, and it is believed that the ancient loaf dates back to around 7th or 8th century AD. So, is this real? I mean, these are not just some scam artists in Turkey who created this thing and buried it and said they found it. Experts made this discovery at Toprak Tepe archaeological site, once the ancient city of Iranopolis. Archaeologists uncovered 5 carbonized bread loaves in total at the site, including one with the faint image of Jesus Christ. A message on the loaf reads, "With thanksgiving to blessed Jesus." Officials highlighted that the depiction does not follow the traditional Savior Jesus Pantocrator style, which is common in Byzantine and Eastern Orthodox art, but rather chose Jesus Christ as either a farmer or a sower. Okay, and then there's a whole bunch of more interpretation. So there it is. Does it look like a loaf of bread to you? I don't know. When's the last time you saw a loaf of bread that had that much fine detail? And then they said it got carbonized, but isn't it in just the dirt? How does bread become carbonized when it's just in the dirt? And it's black there, but here it's dirt colored. And I swear Jesus, he looks like a mongoloid or something. Like, first he looks like he has man boobs like E.T. I swear his center is like E.T. He's wearing like a skirt. And then, is that supposed to be the crown of thorns? Shouldn't it be up here? It's like on his eyebrows. I mean, like, I would have never guessed that this is supposed to be Jesus unless somebody said, oh, well, the writing supposedly. I don't know. The whole thing seems like a bunch of bull. Trust it. Jesus is making it indestructible. He's carbonized. It's like carbonized like Han Solo. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, what the hell, man? I'm telling you, they can make up any old thing and everyone believes it. Jesus was carbonized like Han. They got way more than 50. Yeah. I remember when DS9 came up with the concept of linear and nonlinear time was something I couldn't understand, and now it's like child's play. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I can totally wrap my mind around nonlinear time and quantum theory, but it's definitely a lot less alien than it once was. When I first heard of quantum theory with the many worlds theory, I really did not like it. But I think it just makes you feel so tiny if there's to think there's millions of versions of yourself. And I guess that's a choice to choose to think that way, but I guess we like to feel like we're important in the world and expose it to oxygen and it instantly crumbles to dust. Nope, it's carbonized, just like Han Solo, my friend. You could put it in Jabba the Hutt's underground cave as a warning. Don't believe anything coming from Turkey. Like, I don't want to be mean to third world countries, but basically, if you don't have a lot of other options, people get like really innovative on all kinds of things. Solutions, figuring out how to solve things with really cheap methods, how to repair things, but also unfortunately on scams. You know, they have a lot of time on their hands. You can't get a job easily because there's no jobs, and so people just sit down there and they figure out how to make money out of nothing, and that includes scams. Still, I think it's very interesting after all of that stuff about the expensive toast of Jesus and all that. Very interesting. That just happened to come up. And with this, I wouldn't be surprised if there's not more. Still, it looks like, sort of like a mongoloid with E.T.'s body on it. So, very interesting option for Jesus. Then again, in Turkey, maybe they don't care for Jesus that much. So, they're going to fake something. They're going to make him look stupid while they're at it. If they are really people who fake this, they have to be laughing their butt off right now, though. All right, so here's another one. Let's see. I think this one also Jackie found. Yeah, new hairy snail species to be named after Hayao Miyazaki. So apparently there are a whole bunch of hairy snail species, and this is just another one. So Jackie and I are both like, there's a bunch of hairy snails. So I've seen most kind of snails now. There's the snails without shells, but somehow they're not slugs. They're still snails. And then there's the snails with like partial shells. And then there's the snails with partial shells where their slug skin grew back up over their shell partly. And now we've got the hairy snails. Not hairy slugs, hairy snails. Some of them are really freaking hairy. Check that guy out. It's hairy. You can't think it. I guess maybe I've just lived in the old world so long that I don't have imagination, but compared to what is coming out, the level of imaginatively bizarre things is truly fascinating to me. That I don't think I would have thought, like, I know, let's have a hairy snail. I would have never went, hey, let's have the inside of mouths be colored. just would not have occurred to me to put the color on the inside. That's a good question. Are the hairs on the snails poisonous? Maybe they'll be psychoactive snails. Several distinct species of snails. One common is tiara cancellata. Cancellata. Also known as hairy trumpet snail. Freshwater snail. Valued in the aquarium hobby for its algae-eating abilities. Okay, so they're not even that rare. They're aquarium snails. Goes to 3 centimeters, so that's fairly large for a snail. Likes brackish water. I don't know, it doesn't say anything about them being poisonous. Oh, this is one of those love dart snails. Ugh. Status of least concern. German hairy snail. Ugh. You know, that was a good guess about them being poisonous, but it doesn't appear so. I mean, you've already got a shell. What do you need hairs for? You want to go to the rich frequencies timeline. Then you have to figure out how to have rich people energy. That's how you get there. If you emit rich people energy, then you will automatically be in the rich people timeline. And I think that right there is why it's not that easy to just get what you want, because you have to change your energy to the energy of a person that would get that, which means changing your basic self, which is not that simple. It's doable, yes, but you're going to have to learn stuff about yourself. You're going to have to let stuff go about your old self to get to your new self. My body is forcing me to revise what I'm eating. It rebels if I eat something it doesn't want. Yeah. You know, I used to freaking love bacon, but now most of the time it actually doesn't taste good at all, which is shocking to me because it used to be so good. Sometimes I wonder if they've just done something to the pork here, though. It was like ground beef is like that, too. It's just like, if we make our own ground beef, it's different, but the ground beef is just so, I don't know. I don't know if it's because there's a bunch of crap in it. But there's a lot of things like that where I'm like, you know, I don't know why it doesn't taste good anymore. And then I finally find one that was made like when I was a kid, and I eat it, and it's like, oh, this one's delicious. It's exactly how I remember it. So it is not my tongue that died. Maybe it is just the food. Vivian's going to bed. Thanks for coming. Money is not the most important thing in the world. Having enough is good. More is hustle. Yeah, I don't know. That's like, I think it helps if you think more about what you want to do, like, instead of just like, I need money. Like, I'm like, well, I would like to travel and I just want to pay off all my bills and live comfortably, you know, that kind of thing. And then imagine yourself doing that and what it would feel like, and like really focusing on the thing you want and not the thing you lack. So you sit there and go, oh, I don't have money for this, and I don't have money for that, and now I have to. Then you're concentrating on what you lack, and concentrating on lack is not the right way to get what you want. For a while, bacon didn't taste good to me, but it got good again. Yeah, I don't know why it. Other stuff still tastes pretty good, like steak. And bacon used to be the king of them all as far as flavor, but now, nope. Steak is better. A lot of things that used to be below pork or bacon are now like way above it. So you want to buy your mom a birthday present. So you want a good birthday present for your mom. That's what you really want. It doesn't have to buy. It just has to have one, right? You get to obtain one. Because like maybe, you know, somebody will give you something that'll be perfect for it. Don't limit yourself on how it arrives is all I'm saying. You need the perfect gift for your mom. However it should arrive. And then imagine like how great it'll be to have a gift that you know when you have a really good gift, like this is the great gift. She's going to love this. And it's so fun to have that gift and wrap it. And then you're all happy when you're going to do the gifts because you're like, I knocked this one out of the park. I totally wailed on this one. So you're happy the whole time. And then you're like all happy when she's going to open it because you know she's going to like it. It's just like the best feeling. And then when she opens it and she likes it, of course, that is also wonderful. So there's a whole long experience of the giver that can be great when you get the right one. I spend some time thinking about that and jonesing that energy and see if that helps any. That would be what I would do anyway. Sounds like maybe the fatty parts aren't tasting good. Maybe. I still love the fatty parts on steak, though. Those are delicious. Especially if it's marbled. Frankly, though, if I pull off the fatty parts, those don't taste good either on the bacon. So it's the whole thing. It's not just the fatty. I have no issues with fatty. Like, I ate carnivore before, I keto. I sometimes still do. I've never hated fat on steaks and pork. So I don't think that's it. I don't know. It doesn't even smell good anymore. It's just weird. I had a fiasco eating KFC. You know, the body keeps changing, and then the history of what they put in stuff's changing. The latest thing is this whole folic acid versus folate thing that really seems to be winding up. I think I had it on a while ago about the MTHF CKR gene that comes out as the mother gene that influences your ability to methylate the B vitamins. And if you're not good at methylating them, then if you consume folic acid, which is the B9 version that they add to everything, then that folic acid could build up in the system because folic acid is not a natural vitamin. Folate is a natural vitamin, but I guess folic acid has a longer shelf life, so they just give you that, and then they expect your body to convert it to folate. And if you can't convert it to folate well, and you consume a lot of it, it builds up and it can make you sick, and it can apparently clog up the processing of folate, and it can cause all these problems. And so now there's all this new evidence that actually maybe it's causing a lot of problems. So I would suggest that on your vitamins, you look at folate for your vitamin instead of folic acid. So they add folic acid to all kinds of like flour and all kinds of crap too. So if say you have trouble processing folic acid, which like I said is completely unnatural, and you can't process it properly and it's in all your foods, then, you know, problem. So that's something to look at. All right, we did you. Harry's nails. So Jackie, I believe that was you talking about, we had covered before the Batman, the original Batman, did not have a giant yellow belt. I swear it's gotten bigger. It's just, I don't think it was this large. It's absolutely stupidly big now. It's like comically, it's like trolling your like how could you not notice that? Kind of big. I'm just like, come on, dudes, this is ridiculous. I mean, astronauts have smaller belts than Batman. Look at that. most ridiculous. So, reality is truly, come on. You know, he does look better with it on in a way, because I think he had a little bit of a stomach. He was not 18 anymore when he made that, and the old days, the standards were not as extreme. But come on. Come on. This is such a scam. I've had this on. If you weren't on, you'll remember. But it was, when it showed up, it wasn't that big. That's the thing. So, yeah. I know. I mean, is it going to cover? Is it going to be all the way up, like half of his abdomen? I don't know. It's like doing this. It's insane. When Jackie mentioned it, I went back to check, and I'm like, come on. You have to be old to remember, but come on. In a way, I do think he looks better with that on, but at the other hand, that is the most ridiculously because it holds in his stomach. It's like shapewear from the 70s? When was this thing even made? Shapewear for men. Now he doesn't have to suck in his stomach for the whole show. Of course, it's not visible. Now, see, even there. So, was it in the original comics? I guess so. It looks ridiculous. Okay, that is not the original. Let's see. Batman original comic book. Let's see what we got. Was it in there? The original Batman comic book. Oh, it was. Is that it? Dang. So it was in there, huh? So now there's a question, did the comic book change, and so then they had to put it in the movie? Or did they just, did we not want to see Batman's stomach anymore, so he needed this, so then it had to go into the comic book? Is it all unrelated? This is a little bit more like when I first saw it. There's not a smiley on there, is there? It almost looks like there's a smiley face on that. All right, let's go. I'm getting easily distracted. Where is the original? There's no smiley on that one. Wiki. Let's see what the wiki has to say. It's 2011. That's. I want the original. Superman. No. When did Batman even come out? This looks a little bit more like it. Okay, this one looks pretty good. 1939. Definitely a yellow belt. Carrying somebody by their head. Nice. All right, so yes, he definitely had that before the TV show. Yeah, he wasn't blue, is he? Actually, that's a good point. Yeah, we did cover that before. That, you know. So the inner blue liner, last time I think when we looked it was much more subtle. Now it's very extreme. Yeah, you're right. He's really blue now. All right, hold on. The original Batman TV. Yeah, he's pretty blue. See, he looks blue there, but here it looks gray. I think we looked this up and they said there was a weird blue sheen to it. I think that's what it was. There was some kind of... Now, I can't remember the whole story, but... Like, it wasn't planned and it was in some episodes or something. There was something like that. All right. Let's look and see if that storyline is even still there, because that was a while ago. TV was blue. Let's see if AI can... Costume widely described as blue, though it often appeared purplish due to lighting. The cost... Oh, this is not the... Okay. This has changed. So now they're saying it was meant... Okay. Before they were saying it was meant to be gray, but it came out kind of blue. Now they're saying it was meant to be blue, but it came out kind of purple. The costume's primary color was intended to be blue, matching the comic book palette, which included vibrant blue, red, yellow, green, while the fabric used for the cloud gloves and trunks sometimes faded, leading to purple hue in later episodes. Okay, so this story has totally changed. This narrative is different. There was not purple involved in the original narrative on this. The show's creators and fans have noted that the blue was a deliberate choice to reflect the comic book style of the time. Okay. Yes, that has changed. Okay. I guess Andy Black's tattoo changed. I don't know Andy Black's. Okay, let's look at Andy Black's tattoos. All right, so Batman is officially blue and always was, but now is accidentally purple at times. Andy Black's tattoo. I don't think I know this person. No, I don't. I think this is a millennial thing. Well, he doesn't have just one, so how does this work? Is that it? Is it this neck thing? Is that the... Is it a dog? I guess it's supposed to be a Doberman with big long ears. All right, help me out, Andy Black people. Yeah, there was no yellow. I agree with you. But there is yellow on the logo now. I think that was white before. Maybe it was... Say, was it blue? I don't know. I don't think it was yellow, though. Yeah. Comic... I don't think I looked at the comic book last time. Oh, okay. I don't know then. I don't know that dude. Andy Black. Like, all right. Oh, that was me watching. See, I only made it to there. I still have that many. Actually, that's not too bad. Morpheus's green tie. I almost forgot to talk about that. Didn't we cover Morpheus having a green tie last time? Well, it's different now, as Jackie has noted. I should just cover this since we're already doing Morpheus from The Matrix. So I think the last time I was like, he's got a green tie. Okay, but now he has more than just a green tie. Let me find it. Now he's got this, he's got this going on his tie, but in reverse. His tie is green and he's got black track lines or something. Not the drug kind of track lines. Interestingly, you can't find very many images of it. The typical Mandela, when it first shows up, you have to about beat your head in trying to find an example of it. But it's there. Oh, come on. Let me try going to Google. Ironically, I found one fairly easy. Okay, here's a pretty good. No, it's not very... You know, these are all small images, so if I try to blow them up, they're not going to have enough pixels. That's another situation I find with new Mandelas. There's not a highly pixelated image easily found. So you finally find something and it's hardly any pixels, so you can't blow it up. You can't get a good look at it. The thing is, earlier today, I looked this up and I had no problem finding a very nice, highly pixelated image. So let's go to Google and see if we can find it. Here. Ta-da! Oh, this is a beautiful one. Doink. There we go. Oh, it's not track marks. It's just some kind of weird... I wonder if it will turn into... Oh, look. There's some ones and zeros, like my old days. Although the zeros look weird. 3s and 5s. Those are weird looking zeros, though. They're too big. That is not how they looked before. They looked like zeros. They didn't look like giant boxes. Okay. Those, I don't know why those zeros are bugging me so much. Okay, I finally found them, but they're all wrong. All right, anyway, can I make this larger? That might be it. Try blowing it up. Hold on. 2, 5. See, you could see it. 6, 7. There. I don't think that was his tie. It was just green before. Not this. And then before that, it was not green. What color even was it? I know it wasn't green. Anyway, that he had a green one was a more recent one. And now it's this pattern. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing a nice, clearly green, just green one, though. All right, so that's another Mandela. I don't know, maybe somebody added this because it says there's letters, there's Chinese, there's... Oh, so is that from the movie? Because here it's not anything. Like, these lines don't have 1s and 0s. So before, I remember you could definitely see 1s and 0s. Even in the more complicated scenes, it was still all 1s and 0s. Even when it was making up, like, all of reality. So some of these, I don't think these are all from the movie, but... Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it turns into like 1s and 0s or something. Or whatever that background green stuff is. Yeah, it was all like green before. So, yeah, I don't know. Was it even that shade? The shade might have changed a little bit too. It was some kind of more blending in color, definitely. Purple sounds right, ironically. Dark purple. That does sound right, Jackie. That the tie was like a purple color. That's a good guess that it's going to turn into those, though. As you said, that it might turn into those backgrounds. And it would be a nice touch. Yeah, that would be a nice touch. Although it's interesting, because then if he wears that, and that's what reality's made out of, Morpheus then is the Matrix himself. It does have some interesting symbology if his tie turns into the ones and zeros or whatever. I'm calling them the ones and zeros. I can't get out of my mind that they're the ones and zeros, even though they're not anymore. Neon green. Yeah, I think it was a little bit brighter shade. And it was shiny. I remember it was shiny. I was just thinking this is like super shiny silk look. All right. I was actually reading these up until the last second, so that's why I forgot to turn that one off. You know what? It's like 2 hours. Yep. It is 2 hours. I'll read a couple more of yours then, and then we will call it a night. My cousin that passed away was the stage manager for 5FDP. I don't know that one. And Corn. Okay, I do know Corn. God, must be stressful life doing all that, being the manager and stuff. Problems all the time. Pandemic. Ugh. Right. Shai remembers green as the letters, but no pattern. All right. I think we all agree there was no pattern. It was just green. And then before that, it was not green. I think at least most of us agree on that. I haven't heard any naysayers on that one. His story and why he likes Batman is pretty cool. I don't know that one. Alright, I think I'm mostly back. Let's see if I've covered everything. New hairy snails. Da, da, da. Oh, I never did the White House one. Let me just do that really quick. This was almost going to be the thumbnail, but then I decided to have E.T. So I'm sure most of you know that are on here regularly that I checked the White House lots of times. Brave. Oh, the House. I typed the House. No wonder it can't find it. All right, so I typed in the White House. I think it was because of, I'm trying to think what started it. It might have been because of all that yammer about what Trump was doing with remodeling the side wing or something. And I was a little bit confused about what he was remodeling because I saw the images. I'm like, what even is that? So I type in the White House because I'm thinking I haven't looked at the White House for a while. And I only typed in the White House. And you guys know I've done that enough times on here. But then I started seeing things like this. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I only typed that in. I didn't type anything else. But then I'm like looking and I realized I've never seen any like drone images of the White House, even though I looked like 6 months ago or something. I've never seen it from on high. And then I find this and I'm like, wait a minute. So now when they say the West Wing and the East Wing and stuff, I guess they mean these things. Because I remember it just being like the West Side and the East Side. But now the White House has all this other crap. And it's kind of like I don't know. I could say, hey, look, maybe I just never knew about it. But I just think it's very fascinating to me that I never once, in all the million times I typed in the White House, found an image that would show these side pieces that apparently have always been there. And it's also very interesting because somehow they have bushes high enough to always hide the side pieces, no matter where, unless they give you a high view of it. I think those are the side pieces. Frankly, I'm not very familiar with them because I have never seen them before, like yesterday. So it's just so fascinating to me to suddenly find out that there's a bunch of side pieces on the White House. But see, you can clearly see them in a fair number of photos now. The other thing that fascinates me is every time I do this exact same search and I'll find, here we go. Here, this is what I was looking. I also just don't remember this particular fountain. It's like super ugly with, I don't know, the red and stuff. But so this is the main White House, and you can see that they have like hallways leading to these side wings. And it looks like, from what I can tell, they're going to whack down like a corner of one of these and stretch it out. And that's going to be the ballroom. And that's what all that stink is about, what Trump's up to. And like, I could care less because I swear to God, these magic side wings were not there before. So it's really hard for me to be greatly attached to the fact that Trump's going to smack down a wall. But if people have fun getting mad about it, have fun. I have to say I've lost a lot of my concern for vintage items destruction, knowing that they just magically will show up and disappear, Like, you could be trying to preserve something that only existed for the last week, but supposedly has always been there. So of course it's confusing because there's like a front and the back of it. So the front looks like that, or no, I think that's the back, and it has a fountain, of course, and then the front has the roundy thing. And I kind of reminds me of the pyramids, how like the front and back look so similar, and then when there changes on one side, you're like, oh, well, maybe it was on the other side, and then it really contributes to the confusion. Then we'll just put fountains on both sides so that you're 100% confused. Let's see, these you can... I think it's mighty convenient that only now can you see these side wings. So the wings, they come out and then I guess they angle forward. So they really are like wings now. They're wings. What was the other thing? I almost forgot even what I was going to say. I believe that the other thing I was going to say was that I thought these top windows had a little bit of this bottom trim on them, but last time I looked, it's like they've gotten even simpler, because doesn't it look wrong? It should have some trim above the top windows. So it's gotten even simpler, I believe, than last time I looked. This looks ridiculous. Oh, and wait a minute. Wait a cotton picking minute. It did not have round ones, then pointy ones, then round ones. There is no effing way it had round ones, pointy ones. That looks ridiculous. It looks like childlike. These top ones had matching stuff. You know what? I think these are different than what they were before, but there was trim above the windows, but not that trim. And then these windows also had it. It looks like asinine to have the bottom row only having it. A total cheap out. There's no freaking way. All right, let me see if I can find the other side. So that's that side. Let's look at the roundy side. All right, roundy side. Same thing, round and square. Top one's got nothing. More bushes. But see, nothing. It just looks stupid. So it's simpler. It's got child blocks on the windows, and it grew some side wings. God, it's really simple now. It's like, it's barely different than, I mean, there's fancier buildings that they built here. It really is kind of it used to be sort of palatial and fancy, more like the Capitol building. And you know it's funny is that I actually, the last time I typed in the White House, and a lot of images came up with the Capitol building, and it was travel sites. Like, the White House is so blah looking now that they just put an image of the Capitol building on there instead. Okay, I think this is a concept of what the ballroom is gonna look like. Whatever. Here, wasn't there like more going on in there? A little bit more? I mean, I know it's been simplifying down. And you know, there's so... I don't remember being able to see all this crap at the top. Like, it looks like they just put some AC units. You can see them from the street. It looks awful. You know what? I don't think you could see giant AC units from the street. Look at that. Okay, maybe that one, and some of those are chimneys, but seriously? The roof looks like hell. Like, unless they just added all that crap. Let me see some older ones. It's not as bad on there. Maybe they added a bunch of shit, but still. Security drone garages or something. I don't know, but seriously, it looks terrible. You'd think they'd put like a little trim housing around here and then put the stuff behind it, or just stick that crap on the roof. So it looks fine there. Maybe they did do that. No, that's on top of this. All right, well, it looks like hell. Ugh. You know when you have industrial buildings and there's just a bunch of like crap on the roof? That's what it looks like now. Maybe it's just fitting for the state that we're in these days. Yeah, so there's a big stink. I don't know. It only blew up in the last couple days, but they've already ripped down a wall of the White House, and they're remodeling and adding a big bunch of room. And I guess Trump decided he wants a ballroom in there. And then there's all this drama. Well, you didn't get the proper permissions or whatever. And I'm sitting here going, what part of the White House is that? It's like I'm thinking on a whole different thing. I can't get upset about him ripping down a wall that for me only existed for the last recent amount of time. Something's really missing. I know it just keeps changing though, so it's just. Anyway, so yeah, that was the last bit. All right, yay, Sean. The only one. Like, I'm gonna be so mad if you guys come up here and go, "What are you talking about? They've always had those." Yeah, it literally has the wings. I mean, they called it the East Wing, but that was just the east side of the building before. It was just being fancy. Now when they mean a wing, it's actually like wing shaped. All right, anyway, so you get the drill. Welcome to the new wings of the White House, I guess, for me anyways. I'm really suspicious about those fountains, and I'm really suspicious that not once ever did I see a high view or layout of the White House ever in all the million times I've done searches. But it's all good, right? You just gotta laugh. And we'll do those. I am what? When did I save those? A couple months ago. I'm a couple months behind again on these. None of these are really super good because, like, if I found a really good one, I just yoinked it. So that's for my emergency. I got no Mandelas today selection. All right. Well, that's it for tonight. Thank you for coming. Think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.